Shinobu out of nowhere just makes a grand appearance out of nowhere. I was super shocked. I was like, holy crap, okay, wow, what's going on? And then she's super nice to Nadeko, like helping her figure out how to use her power and everything like that. It was super sweet. And then her nice little words he said at the end that I kind of don't really get what exactly she's saying at the end there. The idea of her dying thousands of times and becoming evil. It was kind of weird. I guess it's sort of like warning, like a warning that she's giving her. But still, really good episode. We had some action in there. We had some comedy in there. My gosh, cry my eyes out. Nadeko finally, I guess, accepting giving up Araragi. And I guess I don't really recall. I don't really think we had a moment of that. I don't think we ever had a moment where Nadeko said, I'm letting him go. And that was really what that was. Because again, this entire arc is literally Nadeko sort of acknowledging her flaws. Acknowledging herself really is the big key thing there. And I think it was a fantastic way of doing that. And yes, having that moment where she's just crying and saying, did you give up on him? You don't want to wait. I liked waiting. I liked pining for him. That was what brought me joy. Why'd you give that up? Why'd you give that up? And I was like, oh gosh, girls, don't cry. Don't cry, please, girl, no. I was like, ugh, it hit me hard. But yeah, again, great episode overall. Really loved it. But let's just jump into it as usual. Starting from the beginning, having the fight. I will admit, was a little bit let down in this fight. I thought it was a little bit too quick. It didn't really, like, all that build up in the last episode. I was super pumped and super hyped for the fight, but I guess it technically makes sense because Nadeko, her current self, isn't like an OP god or anything like that. So it's not as if she can fight, against something with so much spiritual power. Again, somebody that was able to take down Shinobu. And so I guess she has to use her smarts more than anything. So it made sense what she did there. I assume when she walked up there with the other one, I was like, oh, cool, there's the Wrath Nadeko, like she was talking about making her appearance different. Apparently she made two of them, one of her current self, one of Wrath Nadeko, and then made some outfit for herself so she can run around as Loomer. So we had current Nadeko running around as Loomer, which was great. But no, it was a decent fight, but again, it just felt like it wasn't as cool as it could have been, which is kind of unfortunate, but still, in there, it was a good little fight there and a good little conclusion to that whole situation there. But again, right after that, going straight into Oigi, and Oigi taking her to where he thought that she needed to go. I did get a laugh at the fact that he didn't use the clutch, and then he turned the steering wheel towards the building, which doesn't make any sense, but, I don't know. What the clutch thing I laughed at, and I'm like, that's fine. Animators don't know what a clutch is. It's fine. There's barely anybody these days that knows what a clutch is. But then I'm like, then they steered the steering wheel towards the building. So that now I'm wondering if it's actually intentional. They're just being goofy. But no, this is a good little moment here because we're establishing that yes, Meek Nadeko is still there, which technically makes sense. I honestly felt that was a little off when she went over to, capture Meek Nadeko. The bookshelves fell on her, and it sort of just kind of made out like, oh, Meek Nadeko died. And it didn't really feel like that should have played out that way. So there was a side of me that assumed that Meek Nadeko was not gone. But no, what they're kind of implying here is that no, that was just one Meek Nadeko of all the other ones. It was just one that was kind of straying from the group that the God Nadeko made. The Meek Nadeko was not there. And that makes sense because, yeah, if you think about it, there was this one Meek Nadeko that was running around everywhere, and Kanbaru had heard about that, and these all Meek Nadekos are here. So it makes sense that there's a different one, that this is something that clicked for Nadeko that, oh wait, I know Meek Nadeko. I know how she thinks. She's using all of them. Like, Oigi's like, so you're saying that she's the mastermind? No, it makes sense that, yes, because she was so good at manipulating other people, that it seems to imply here that she was manipulating all the other Nadekos, that she had them all do things, which I guess makes sense because why was Wrath Nadeko going to one location and fighting back? Why was Flurry Nadeko trying to stand out so much? During each one of those scenarios, I was trying to make a mental reason of why they would want to do each one of those things. And I sort of came to conclusion for each one, but what Nadeko is saying here is that those aren't the conclusions. Those aren't what you actually thought. It is really her realizing for herself, no, I know myself, I know how Meek Nadeko was, and I know that she was using everybody to buy herself time. She was actually over at the gates, waiting for Araragi like she always is. I know her, and I know that's what she always did. That's what I was always doing. I was always pining for Araragi. I wasn't doing anything else. There was no other purpose for me. I wasn't fleeing from responsibility or anything like that. I wanted to go see Araragi like I always do. And then, and then Oiki takes her to Shinjuku place. When they pull up to Shinjuku place, he's like, this is the one thing you weren't able to do, to kill Shinjuku. So this is your unfinished business. And she's like, that's not what I was doing. I was like, watch she actually be there. But again, that makes sense. Now, God Nadeko, it would make sense if God Nadeko was there, because that's what I thought was going to happen there. God Nadeko wanted to kill Araragi too, and there was a thought process there that she would go do that. But yes, right here, yeah, I could see her wanting to go kill Shinjukahara if she was even there. But no, the main key thing here is that that's not what Meek Nadeko wanted to do. She didn't want to kill Araragi. She wanted to kill Shinjukahara. Yes, she was a rival, but at that time of Meek Nadeko, she didn't think of all this stuff. She was still pining for Araragi back here. So it makes sense that she goes directly there. But again, this scene with her, her telling her, you gotta stop. You gotta stop this. You gotta move forward. Again, this is her telling herself to keep walking forward. And herself telling her, but I like pining. I like waiting. I love this. I want to wait for him. I want to keep waiting. I want to keep waiting. And then herself telling herself, no, I got to move forward. It's only hurting people around me that I wait here. You feel comfortable here. You feel fine here. And again, it was kind of getting to that with the whole trip with Oigi. This idea of the damage that she does. Meme called her a victim, which she thought was true. But the problem is that even though, yes, she was a victim and that everything that people did to her was wrong, the bullies, what they did to her was wrong, still in the end, she's causing damage. She's not stopping people from the things that they do in order to support her and love her. She's not doing her part. And thus, she's causing damage. She's a victim while also the perpetrator at the same time. And so she has to tell herself, through Meek Nadeko standing in front of her, I have to move forward. And that moment that she started crying, you gave up on him? You don't love him anymore? It's like, oh, girl, stop crying. And then the rain starts falling. And the rain is falling. It hurt me because, I really like Nadeko's character. And this is kind of a breaking point for her. And again, an acceptance point for her. And that's always the big struggle with these, unrequited loves and these idea of the losing heroine, the one that gets left behind. And she's always been after him, but failed to catch him. And here is finally her accepting, I lost, and I got to move forward. And I like all the other aspects that she says. She promises herself, I'm going to write a story about this. I'm not going to forget about this. She's putting the books up onto the shelf, which I thought was a really great way of showing that. And then saying, I'm going to write stories about all of you. I'm going to keep these stories alive. I'm going to move forward with this. It's just, it's like all around, it was super good. And then to have Meek Nadeko, she pushes her bangs out of her eyes, which again is like the idea. They've always signified the bangs as being her hiding. She pushed out of her eyes in order for her to be able to see things in front of her and not hide. And the wind blows it down, but then she puts it back up herself. It's like that thing of like she pushed upon her and then she accepted it. It was super good. Like symbolisms. It was just a very beautiful scene. My heart broke for her running up there and accepting it. Just it hurt. It hurt. But yes. Shinobu, out of nowhere, comes over and visits. Oh my gosh, dude. Tsukihi actually comes to visit, and Shinobu was hiding in her shadow. But yeah, Tsukihi didn't fix anything. She's like, I cover for you. I told them all that you did everything, but you weren't, malicious about it or anything like that. But then, yes, Shinobu shows up. Again, I thought it was super cool. Shinobu showing up and basically helping her learn how to use her powers. I heard that you're able to do this. I brought donuts. Let's eat them together. Oh, by the way, I want you to make donuts. Shinobu was going to get something out of it, but yeah, she's like literally, hey, I want you to make all these donuts. Oh, that didn't work. Yeah, I'm having problems doing that too. But again, I guess it makes sense for Shinobu that she'd be able to help her more than anybody else. Now, Shinobu, yes, she has made 2 familiars, and those familiars have been failures to her, so she doesn't want to, again, because of how much those are impactful upon her, about how much she failed those familiars, she doesn't want to give advice on that. But she's able to give Nadeko sort of advice on creating objects and other things, tools and whatnot. So they go through and they create a bunch of stuff. And she's like, yeah, she's lecturing me, but at the same time, I realize she's being really nice about it. And she's teaching me how to use my powers, what not to do, what barriers to sort of set for yourself. It's really, really cool because it kind of lays up to the whole thing that, Yotsugi brings to her later on. But yeah, totally love seeing Shinobu. That later scene of her when she goes to leave and she says, do you still think that I just happen to be cute or something like that? And she's like, who put that into your head? Next time somebody says something like that, you bring them to me. I'm like, go get them, girl. I love Shinobu. She's so fantastic. And yeah, that was just a Great little scene there. And her, again, I don't really get exactly what she's saying here. It doesn't really make much sense to me. Now, I get the first part, the good thing that she did, basically. I'm a king of operations who lived 600 years. You've killed me several thousand times, then voluntarily gave up your power, getting rid of immense power and becoming human to live the grand life that you're doing now. No way, you just happen to be cute. Greatest hate springs from the greatest love, you know. I think that right there is her basically talking about the idea of you can love yourself so much or love so much that you grow to hate, which is sort of what they were kind of getting into with the idea of her wanting to kill Araragi and kill Shinjagahara and kill and Shinobu. She wanted to destroy them, and that was kind of like birthed from the love that she had for Araragi. So that kind of makes sense there. But then she said that even if she was reincarnated 100 times, I'm sure that you'll be a hateful individual. That part doesn't make sense to me unless she's sort of applying that to her power or something like that. I don't know. That was sort of the odd thing to say there. And then, yeah, Nadeko says that, you know, you said some devastating things. But yeah, it was so good to see Shinobu again. She was such a sweetheart, helping her out and everything. Loving possibly seeing them in the future working together. But yeah, that all wraps up with Yotsugi showing up, saying that, yeah, good news for you. Talk to Gain. She says that she wants to work with you, thinks that your power is cool. And again, also specifically saying not because of your skills as a Shikigami user, but specifically that you were able to keep calm in a very desperate situation. You had all these Shikigamis that were running around in town, and you captured them all within a day. And yeah, technically makes sense. Yotsuki was there supporting her, but she allowed her to make the calls and make the plans. And yeah, Yotsuki didn't capture any of them. Nadeko had to catch them all by herself. Yes, she did her rule book and knocked all the stuff out, but that was all done by Nadeko. She caught every single one of them herself, which is interesting because in the initial impressions of coming into this whole scenario, it was like, yeah, Yotsuki's going to go after God and Deko. She has to fight God and Deko. But again, she didn't do really anything. But no, I love the comments that Yotsuki's making. Like, I'm just looking for talented people so that I could take it easy. I'm just so kind to you. I'm very business-like Shikigami. I look out for the prosperity of the industry. And so that I could take it easy. And I earned their talent. It was a really cute little thing there. She's very much so like a tsundere motionless doll in a lot of ways. But yeah, apparently that means going forward, Nadeko is going to be working for Gain. She's going to be doing a lot of things in the mystical world while at the same time doing her manga, supporting herself. It's a really cool little growth point. It's kind of, again, a really great way of showing this whole story, opening up with the idea that parents are pushing her out. She's looking for a path out. She ends up making all these Shikigami. She confronts herself in every single aspect of her life, what was wrong with herself or what was good about herself, confronting those things, and eventually accepting herself, and at the very end, having a path forward. She's now a grown-up. She's not a grown-up. She's still 15, but she's got a path forward. She's got things that she can do now. She's got a job. Her parents want her to have a job. She's focusing on her manga. Everything is kind of working out really well. So really interested to see where it goes for her. I really hope that there's a story in the future that, I don't know, has Nadeko working for Gain and doing a different job. That would be really cool to kind of see what she does in the future. I think there's a lot in the story, too, about her kind of walking on her own 2 feet. Again, she was mentioning the idea that she was always, as Meek Nadeko, really, a lot of that point was sitting there waiting for somebody to come along, waiting for the Prince Charming, waiting for Araragi to show up and sweep her off her feet. And now it's really her saying, no, I don't really want to do that no more. I'm going to step forward my own power. Again, the idea of her having a job and having a life of her own and moving forward. And yes, saying that eventually one day I'll fall in love again. But for now, I want to move forward on my own. Really, a lot of Nadeko's story has been, yes, relying on other people. Again, that was the whole idea of her relying on the other Nadekos. The idea that they were all going to do things for her while she does the thing that she wants to do. And the idea of people loving her and then her allowing them to turn into bad people because she just accepted their love and just kind of kept bottled up. Overall, this was a really good story arc. I really love it. Again, I'm partial because I'm a massive fan of Nadeko. She's like my favorite character, but still, it was a really cool little segment here, really establishing Nadeko's powers and, again, really kind of hoping that something that comes up in the later stories. Anyways, that's my thoughts on episode 6 of Monogatari series. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, if you did, hit that like button down below, comment, let me know about the episode. Additionally, if you're new here, make sure to subscribe before you leave. If you'd like to support the channel, I have links in the description below. Greatly appreciate what it does. Until next time, y'all take care.